Let's go.
Hello and welcome to Review Everything, a podcast where we take items from across the limitless spectrum of human existence and assign them a numeric value. My name is Ashton Macaulay. I am an author by night. I am a data person by day, and I have a lot of opinions all of the time. This is Connor.
Hey.
Who are you? Tell them.
I'm Connor. I am Chuck Bartowski in Chuck versus the Slippery Ship.
What is it? What is a Chuck Bartowski and why is he on a slippery ship?
Shrimp. Sorry, shrimp.
He's a slippery shrimp.
Did you ever watch Chuck?
No.
Oh, man. All right.
Brad.
Moving on.
This is Connor, also known as Slippery Shrimp, also known as Chuck. Yeah. So today, what are we talking about? We're talking about things we found on the internet, but I've noticed that as we come into this, sometimes it feels a little cold, you know? Like we're just not warmed up, and I wanted to try something. So I wanted to try something to get you warmed up, and
Okay.
And I think that this will be fun for everybody, and it's more importantly, it's going to play really good on socials according to ChatGPT. So this is our new virality thing. You ready?
Yeah, monetize me, bitch.
Lightning round. Okay,
You can't
so
do
this
it.
has.
The fuck?
Yeah,
Okay,
I know.
go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm leaning in. Go.
I took your thing and then I turned it into something else for you. So this is your lightning round. This is your opportunity to warm up, and I want to get those critical juices flowing. I'm going to show you 5 items, and I want you to rate them as fast as possible.
Can I say lightning round real quick? Because I don't feel like I can do this until I yell lightning round because it kind of gets me.
Yep, let's get one.
Lightning round.
Oh, that was nice. That was really
Thanks.
good. It felt good. All right, first up, Chicago Pope.
Fucking what? All right, is it out of 10?
Yeah, it's out of 10. It's always out of 10.
9 Portillo hot dogs out of 10.
Wow.
Next.
Impressive. Next. Doritos footlong nachos at Subway.
Next.
No, you got it. I'm sorry. I need a rating.
0.
0. I physically can't move on
Get
until
it
you rate
next.
it. This picture of me at Disneyland when I was a kid. I zoomed in so you could see just like how much mischief is in the face.
It has Palpatine. I don't know if it's the lightning background, but it definitely gives me Palpatine vibes.
Yeah. Also note that there's nobody on the street. This is Main Street at Disneyland.
And you're standing on the train tracks?
Everyone's dead.
7.
7.
Next.
That's a 7 out of 10, everybody. You heard it here. All right,
God,
next up, Microsoft
hold on, go
lays
back.
off.
Go back.
Sorry, go
You
back.
look so devious.
Yeah.
Ugh, yuck. All right, go. I don't want to. This little kid's
Microsoft
into
lays
some-
off 3% of its workforce.
6,000 layoffs. 6.
Wow. 6,000 layoffs. That's a 6 out of 10. Easy. All right, non-alcoholic beer.
They're not all one and the same. Can I choose one?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, choose one of these.
Yeah, it's not on here. It's Crux. It's Nomo. You can get it at least Costco in the Pacific Northwest. And I give it a 8.
8? All right, that's nice. That's it. That's the end of lightning round. Do you feel warm?
Oh, man.
Do you feel warm?
Heck, I maybe feel too warm.
Yeah, it warmed me up really good.
My sacrilegious fluids in my joints are all going. I learned that from Dennis on Peloton. So let's go.
Oh, I love Dennis is the best, man.
His sacrilegious fluids are slippery.
He always lets me go at my own pace for yoga, and I really appreciate that about him.
I feel like he over-explains a lot of things. He talks too much sometimes. Dennis, I love you, man. You are my hero. You are full dad mode. You are popping off downstairs. You are popping off upstairs. You're only getting better, too. You may have thought you hit your peak when you had that cool-ass ponytail and you were driving around 3 o'clock in the morning in Miami listening to EDM. No, sir. You are popping off now, sober as hell, in the studio at 4 a.m., bringing people happiness, bringing them mobility. Fuck yeah, Dennis. Nice job, man.
I'm sorry,
Can we send that one to
had a
Dennis?
ponytail and did drugs in Miami?
Fuck yeah, he did.
Wow,
Language.
that's wild.
Yeah.
I love that arc for him. That's great. So today we're talking about things we found on the internet. And you ready to get into it? You want to just jump straight into the first item?
I would love for you to take me on a journey.
Yeah, and take you on a journey I shall to the beautiful land of Canada and sometimes America. So the first thing I found on the internet is the history of people who have tried to go over Niagara Falls. I should note intentionally, with the intention of living. Yes.
Quick, this was the first thing you ever found on the internet, or just the first thing you
First
find
thing
on the
that
internet
came to mind. Also, it's like the entirety of the reason I picked this category was because I really wanted to do this because this has been so entertaining for me for a long time. Like, you think that you know about people going over Niagara Falls in barrels, let me tell you, you don't know shit.
No. So I will tell you, extremely excited. I know nothing about this topic. What I do know is that you've referenced this a number of times over the last 6 or 7 years that I know you, and I've never gotten the full scoop. And so I'm ready to get a scoop of it right now.
Well, I'm here. And for those listening at home, there's a full PowerPoint presentation, and I will walk you through it. But I think the PowerPoint is important. But first, I wanted to start with a little trivia. So how many people have tried to go over Niagara Falls, not including intentional self-harm? And then bonus, how many have lived? Because if we include self-harm, let me tell you, a lot of people have gone over Niagara Falls.
Let's keep the vibe a little bit different.
Yeah,
than
let's keep
week.
it. Let's keep it up tempo. How many people were doing daredevil shit to go over the falls, and then how many lived?
Can I give you an order of magnitude?
I'll
1, 10, 100?
Yeah. You give me like order of magnitude, sure.
So and you can tell me, I believe I would guess between 10 and 100 magnitude wise.
Okay, that is correct. It is between 10 and 100.
It's pretty
and then
broad.
what's the survival rate?
First, let me guess. I'm going to guess 35 people have done it.
Okay.
Survival rate is 65%.
Okay, you're actually pretty close on the first one. And
this is a numbers podcast for number boys. Yeah.
So 16 people have intentionally gone over the falls in various contraptions, and 11 of them survived. It's a 69% survival rate.
Why is that nice?
Because it's a sex number.
Gross. Come on.
Yeah, I can explain it to you later.
No, this is.
We'll save it for when we get invited on Call Her Daddy.
Wait, is this marked explicit?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're 100%.
Cool.
We swear too much to not be marked explicit.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go over every single one of the 16 because that would take a long time. So I picked my favorites, and then they're in chronological order.
I hope at least one of them are one of the dead ones.
Oh yeah. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Some of these people are going to say.
Okay, cool. Go.
First up, we have Annie Taylor, October 24th,
No,
1901.
women. Powerful women.
She used a wooden barrel pressurized with a bike pump and got through mostly unharmed, though it would make her famous. She thought it would make her famous, and she actually famously died poor. So there's two images here. They're both this woman in like a black dress loading her way into a barrel that they pressurized to 16 psi with a bike pump, and it's just two dudes shoving her in there and then sending her over the edge, and she was mostly fine. Which
should I hold my cues because I already have so many cues?
No, please, yeah, like bring him.
Let me hold. How many do you have?
I think I have 7.
Okay, I'm gonna go now, and I'll try to keep it. I didn't realize that it gets to like what is the point of the barrel. I did not have in my head that they were doing any sort of pressurization. What was the point of that?
I actually I don't really know
to
for
expel
sure.
air out.
Yeah,
like to
so
make sure
I think that they were like thinking
or,
like
water.
They want to make sure water stays out, right?
Yeah.
So the barrel is sealed, and the barrel I think is to protect you from the rocks and shit that are on the way down, because that's you don't die from the fall, you die from the rocks on the way down and hitting your head on shit, and like the barrel's meant to be protective.
Okay.
So anyways,
cool.
Annie Taylor,
I'll learn as we go. Yeah.
First person, also a woman, pretty neat. Women blazing the trail here.
Annie, if you're nasty.
Bobby Leach, July 25th, 1911. This picture is him sitting on top of what appears to be like a big barrel with rivets in it, but it's basically a steel barrel submarine type thing. Broke both of his kneecaps and then later died because he slipped on an orange peel and got gangrene. That's my
unrelated.
Unrelated. Went over Niagara Falls, survived, and then many years later slipped on an orange peel and then died of gangrene. Yeah.
Bobby. Okay. I'm holding Bobby Leach. I'm giving space for him, but I want to know more.
Yeah, he's pretty. Some of these people are absolutely wild. Charles G. Stevens, this is the guy who was on the intro slide, thought it was really smart to anchor himself with an anvil so he didn't get tossed around, and all they found was his right arm in the barrel, because turns out putting a giant hunk of metal in the barrel with you just makes it so it pulps you into a bunch of pieces. And he had an amazing mustache. It actually hangs down to his chest in this photo, but yeah, he got really fucked up going over the falls. This is one of the fatalities.
It does feel like the shape of his barrel is already a coffin.
Very coffin-like. Very coffin-like.
What a dude. Okay, hold on. Do you have in your research? Do you have, or just I don't know? Maybe it's a fun thing to speculate on.
Yeah.
How long did he live? How many anvils went around and he was like, oof, ow, I made a huge mistake. How long did that happen? Or was it very quick? Because I think it probably took a while.
So like, I mean, this is before, before like great recording, right? Because it's 1920.
No, I know that.
By the time they pulled the barrel out of the bottom of the falls, all they found was his arm. and
But
I think the barrel cracked open. So like
Oh.
I think like he part of him probably got pinned in the barrel, and then his arm got ripped off and stayed in there. Yeah, nasty way to go. But I mean, also like you're choosing.
Why is where?
Like I don't know why people choose. I mean, I get why people choose to do this. One, because it's like you can say you did it, but two, it's like it's very illegal, and it has been illegal for a long time. And most of the modern day people who do this get arrested or get fined.
Well, yeah, no shit. Why is he wearing long johns in this picture? And I think I see his long john in his long johns. Is there anything behind that or no?
That's just streamlining, you know. You don't want big clothing weighing you down if you got to get out of the barrel and make a quick exit. You don't see pilots in fancy gear. They're wearing their skivvies up there. Got a bunch of airmen in speedos wearing gas masks. I've seen Top Gun Maverick. That's how it happens.
If there's an anvil in my thing, I want leather, I want plate, but I'm guessing you didn't think about these things.
He was dumb enough to put an anvil in the barrel with him. Like, think about this. Nobody who went before him put an anvil in their barrel, and they all lived. So why did he think that he needed it?
We might just have to do one item each because I have so many questions. Last question, and then we can move on, or just speculation. He originally affixed the anvil to a portion of it, and then it broke, right? That had to be what happened. There's no way this man put a loose anvil in a barrel thinking it was a good idea.
I think it sounded like he just put a loose anvil in the barrel.
Next person!
I think he thought maybe it would weigh the bottom down, right? So that it would go down bottom first. But it's like, dude, no, that's a terrible idea. Anyways, he's dead. Carol Susick, July 3rd, 1984.
This isn't...
Skipping ahead. This guy is in a full red tracksuit. It is awesome. He has a weird little mustache, but he considered himself a professional daredevil. He's the first Canadian to survive the falls. However, he died a year later while trying to recreate this historic plunge inside the Houston Astrodome when his barrel hit the edge of a water tank. So his contraption here is a giant red cylinder that he just sort of floated over the edge in, and they were like, okay, you know what's really great idea is like, let's create this at a sports game as a stunt. And so they hung this barrel from the top of the Astrodome, and then they missed by a few inches, and the barrel hit the hard edge of the water tank rather than the water, and so he just bled out and died in the middle of a stadium while people watched.
So he was murdered by incompetence.
Yeah.
Or I guess, oh man.
I mean, it's a Darwin Award for sure.
I didn't think so. If you had told me, has anyone done this after 1950? I would have said no. And it sounds like lots of people have.
Oh, so we're gonna get pretty modern with this. Steve Trotter, August 18th,
Not
1985. Steve. This guy looks like from that Frisbee video we watched the other week, the beach cop. He's got like a blonde surfer hair, puka shell necklace. He survived twice. He went over in a barrel wrapped in inner tubes. He was fined $5,000. Which is $14,000 indexed for inflation. He did it again in 1995, and then he was imprisoned for 180 days later for swinging from a bridge on a cable. So, like, this guy just did professional stunts and then eventually went to jail for it. But he lived twice. Both times, like, if you see the pictures, it's really just like a barrel that is wrapped in tires is what it looks like.
He died in 2022 at the age of old.
I mean, good for him.
Heck yeah.
Did he die outside of prison? That's important too.
Yeah, and the picture of him on Wikipedia is an actual picture of him in heaven. Hell, okay, cool. Wow. This guy's my top so far.
Yeah, he looks cool too. Like this guy looks like almost like Kurt Russell vibes, which I appreciate.
Yeah. It looks like he definitely could fuck, but he chooses when and how, and probably in a respectful way. I'm going to look him up afterwards, and I hope it's not the case that he's a pervert. Okay.
Yeah. Just all we know is that he went over Niagara Falls. We really hope that he's an okay guy, but historically speaking, he is a man, so that might not be true.
No, get off, Jesus! You
gotta win some of those Republicans fans back after your little tuberculosis speech.
I'm so tired of these purity tests from these fucking liberals. I can't have one hot take about this hot boy. Oh man, now I'm going back. Okay, let's go.
We're going right down the. So this is Robert Overcracker, October 1st, 1995, went over the falls on a jet ski to promote awareness for the unhoused. But then his parachute didn't open and he died. So this is actually a picture of him moments before he splat. Yeah. Yeah, it got dark, didn't it? The Wikipedia entry on him says he actually ended up promoting parachute awareness, because he didn't have a spare. But yeah, so the guy tried to go over Niagara Falls successfully, I might add. But then parachute didn't open and he died.
Wait a second, was that a joke on Wikipedia? Like a mean joke?
I think
about the
I think
parachute?
it was a mean joke from one of the editors. I
will say,
don't think that his. I mean, anybody's death where the parachute doesn't open probably promotes parachute safety. B.B. Cooper probably promotes parachute safety.
maybe not. Yeah. I will say this is the coolest, like one of the raddest ways to go out. Like having
like somebody capturing me jumping off a waterfall on a jet ski moments before my parachute opens. Like top 10 ways to go out. I like it.
30% chance that his hand is up in the air because he's about to puncture a Budweiser can and shotgun it as he fucking falls.
Yep. He gets halfway through and he's like, oh shit, the parachute didn't, and then that's it. Robert Overcraker went out great.
The king of beers.
Kurt Jones, October 22nd, 2003. He's the first person to go over with nothing but the clothes on his back. His friend was too drunk and didn't press record on the camera, so it was not recorded at all. He tried again in 2017 with his pet boa constrictor. They were both inside of a rubber ball, and both sadly perished. So he made it over without clothing, and then tried to go over in something else and died. Yeah, this one was just kind of a bummer. I think it might be my last one. It is. Yep, it is my last one. So here's my rating rubric. For wild shit, I give this a 10 out of 10.
Oh, okay. Hell yeah.
Stupidity, I give it an 8 out of 10, as in it's pretty damn stupid, but it's not the most stupid thing I can think of, because there's precedent that people were able to do this in the 1920s. We have a lot more technology now. It makes me think that we could honestly probably monetize this and be okay. Like, we could create a safe way to go over Niagara Falls in a barrel and sell it to rich tourists as like a gimmick and make a lot of money. So it's not the dumbest possible thing in the world. It is pretty dumb. Old-timey Daredevil bullshit, I also gave it a 10 out of 10. Entertainment value at parties, 7 out of 10. Because I will tell this to anybody who wants to hear about it, but they don't necessarily want to hear about it. So that leaves my final score at an 8.75, but I'd like to hear what your ranking is now.
Number one, you don't have the power to start off with a decimal final score, yet alone one at a second decimal place, you piece of shit. So you have to choose a whole number, and that you did this on purpose, and I know you did it on purpose to trigger me. You have to choose a whole number, and then if we find a tie, the convention is we work our way from there. Now, if we want to change that convention, I'm okay with it. We can ratify that in a separate conversation outside of this podcast, but don't bring new conventions into it without telling me.
Okay.
All right, what's your whole score, 8?
No, well, I'm going to round it up. It's a 9.
And your rubric is, what was your total rubric?
My total rubric was wild shit, stupidity, old-timey Daredevil bullshit, and entertainment value at parties.
What would you, if you had to up-level that, like,
what kind of item is this?
Yeah.
Interesting. I feel like this is a new category.
It could, yeah.
I'm going to say spectacle. No, you know what? Interesting shit.
How about wild and wacky stunts?
Wild and wacky stunts, but how many... You know what? That does encourage us to do this category again. So yes, wild and wacky stunts is the category.
Now it feels too specific. You're right. We'll figure that out offline. Okay.
How about wild history?
Well, I like that.
All right, wild history. Wild history is the category for this one.
So we will have history things, and then we have like goofy history, and so anything that's goofy history falls in this category.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Okay. Cool.
I'm putting it in as wild history.
Okay.
What's your score?
Well, I need to know what your legitimate score is before
9.
I give you
It's
mine.
a 9.
Now that I know this is a competition, I really don't want it to be, but this is a you thing. Yeah, I'm going to say I need some headroom. This is a new category. I assume the barrel had headroom, except for that one guy with the anvil, which his head went away. And so I'm going to go with a 7.
Okay, so we average those out, and it comes out to an 8. And I think I'm fine with that.
Can I posit something?
Yeah.
How about, because I feel like one of mine is kind of wacky history, and maybe since we have 2, we can baseline after I do mine, and we can fight over what's wackier.
Okay, yeah. So for now, I'm gonna leave it at an 8, and then we'll come back to it after yours.
That's very fair of you. Thank you.
All right. I like that. What is your first item? Hit me with it.
I'm gonna start with something. Where we find ourselves. This is July 29, 1998. This is a facsimile to the Time Travel Institute. Dear Art, I had to fax when I heard other time travelers calling in from any time past the year 25 AD. Please, let me explain. Time travel was invented in 2034. Offshoots of certain successful fusion reactor research allowed scientists at CERN to produce the world's first contained singularity engine. The basic design involves rotating singularities inside a magnetic field. By altering the speed and direction of rotation, you can travel both forward and backwards in time. Time itself can be understood in terms of connected lines. When you go back in time, you travel on your original timeline. When you turn the singularity engine off, a new timeline is created due to the fact that you and your time machine are now there. In other words, a new universe is created. To get back to your original line, you must travel a split second farther back and immediately throw the engine into forward without turning it off. Some interesting outcomes of this are: you meet yourself. I have done it oftentimes, even taking a younger version of myself along for a few rides, but returning myself to a timeline before going back. You can alter history in the new universe that you just created. Most of the time, the changes are subtle. The oldest ones was a skyscraper that didn't exist in New York. Interestingly, when you travel in time, you must compensate for the orbit of Earth. Since the time machine doesn't move, you have to adjust the engine, so you remain on the planet when you turn it off. Now, for the future, you might want to know about the Y2K disaster. Many people die on the highways, when they freeze to death trying to get to warmer weather. The government tries to keep power by instituting martial law, but all of it collapses when their efforts to bring power back fail. A few years later, a communal government system is developed, and the Constitution takes a few twists. China retakes Taiwan, Israel wins the largest battle for their life, and Russia is covered in nuclear snow from their collapsed reactors.
What kind of doomsday prepper fan fiction are you reading to me right now?
So my topic for today, and the thing I found on the internet, is Time Traveler 01, _01, also now known as John, I believe, Titor. It might be Titor. I probably should look that up. And what I'm bringing to you today, Ashton, is a real time traveler that showed up first in 1998 with the facts that I just read to you, of which John Titor is sending a fax to the Time Travel Institute, letting them know that, fuck yeah, he's a time traveler and he needs us to know about it.
The Time Travel Institute. Mm-hmm. Is this a household name I should be familiar with and I'm not?
No, it's a pretty obscure. It's so old. It was a BBS board or BBW board. Oh man, one of those two.
What is BBW?
I think it's BBS board. And it was a forum where people who were interested in time travel, the mechanics of time travel, talk about it. And it still exists today. And after learning that, I am going to take part in this community because it still exists in a really basic old forum. So what I'm bringing to you is probably the first internet mystery that I got super jazzed about. And I learned about it in college from my roommate. And at the time, I would say friendly acquaintance, Danny Kanowski. Now, Danny Kanowski, cool dude, right? Straight edge guy in college. The last time I saw him, he got hit by a car, and I saw him in a hospital picture in New York. He got hit in a car. He used to do messenger bike stuff, like with fixies in New York, where you can't brake, and you go around super fast with messenger bags. So anyways, I say that because, Danny, I think of you probably once a month. And if you're alive, I hope you are. I just wanted to say hi. This was something that captured my imagination in a way that obviously I still think about it a lot. And so I wanted to bring you John Titor and the John Titor timeline today as a old school and one of the first ARG real internet mysteries.
How much? Tell me what's the reality to you on this mystery? What's the percent chance that this is very real?
Hold on. Let me give you some background.
Okay.
And then we'll have a couple cues. All
sure,
right.
Sure.
So John Titor, he's traveling back from 2036. All right. He was born in Tampa, Florida in 1998. A couple things has happened in his timeline that hasn't come to fruition in our timeline. But before that, the claimed reasons for time travel were three things. One, he wanted to acquire an IBM 51 computer from 1975 that had apparently or claimed a special feature which would allow them in the future to reverse engineer mainframe computers that were needed to solve a Unix, I believe, 2038 problem. That is kind of similar to the Y2K problem, but it happens in Unix in 2038.
Whoa, interesting.
With me right now?
Yeah. The only time I've ever heard of a Unix system is in Jurassic Park. Because
Hold on to your butts.
Yeah, well, the little girl says, "This is a Unix system. I know this." And then she hacks into the mainframe using a GUI interface that shows the entire park as little buildings.
Oh, fuck you. You're not talking about the original Jurassic Parks. You're talking about some bullshit
No. This is
Jurassic
the
Parks.
original. Yeah, when the little girl is the one who turns all the power back on because Samuel L. Jackson is dead.
Well, she's a teen. The little boy is a little boy. Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. Sorry,
All
off
right.
track.
Yeah. So he pops into 2000 for some personal reasons, and that's when he's talking to us, and that's when he makes the email first in 1998, and then he gets on a bunch of boards. So the secondary reason for stopping in 2000 was essentially to collect some photographs and other things that were lost because of his timeline. Now, what happened in his timeline? There was a civil war that started in 2004 to 2005. One of the reasons why I found this so interesting, because at the time we had a George Bush thing going on and wars, and I found it very captivating and connected to my life that I may end up in a war because of other people's actions. And so this resonated with me because it was someone coming back and warning us, be like, hey, my world went into a civil war, but yours doesn't. Obviously, he is coming from and confirms that the many world interpretation of quantum mechanics is true. And so when you go back in time, like he claims in his first email, a new universe is created. And so his world can be different than ours. And that's honestly a pretty good a foil for him, because he can claim anything and just say, oh, there was a subtle difference in the timeline and then it resulted in XYZ. But anyways, he comes back to warn us about a couple things. One, a civil war. Around, I believe, in 2000, in his world, 2004 or 5, there's a Waco-like event every month that gets worse and worse and worse. And that's what kind of ends up in the United States breaking up into 5 sections and then having eventually a new government out of Oklahoma as the capital.
I have so many questions. I don't want to compare this to QAnon, but it's kind of like my proxy for ARGs, and QAnon obviously got way fucking worse. But is this like a Q figure, somebody who's dropping breadcrumbs? Like it's meant to, we're meant to think this is a real person posting all these things. And did he drop like multiple posts, or is it just the one?
So he is a real person, number one. 2, yes. So he
like
he
a real
started,
person that we've seen on video, we have pictures of, or is it a real person online? So like it could be the production of a bunch of like authors working together on a single account.
So it's not, there is no definitive, and come at me for the 2 people that listen to this, like confirmation that this is a scam, but there are some hints, and I'll share those with you later. But I'm treating this as a real thing that happened because it actually took a fair amount of time, partly because the internet was so new and so much of it was confusing that like there was a lot of wiggle room until, the last 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like OG internet shit, like Slender Man.
Yeah.
All right, tell me about the time machine.
Cool. So the time machine, and I have pictures and things of it.
Oh, good.
I believe I put it in the doc. If you want to look at that, maybe I
let
didn't.
me pull those up.
So the time machine itself was called the C204 Gravity Distortion Unit, and it was created by General Electric. But one of the cool things is, at the last time I researched this, and I didn't see any different today, all of these images, there's no explanation for where they came from. They are not stolen from places. They seem to be original. It's one of the reasons why this one has held up, is because if this is some sort of early ARG, the work that was done to it was pretty freaking thorough for it to even live up through today. There's a smattering of photos. If you want to bring them up, I can kind of walk you through some of them.
You're going to see the inner workings of our Google Doc. Okay, there we go. Yeah. So here we go. So here are the images. So tell me about this first one.
No idea. It's cool. This is evidence that he posted of generally how the singularity works at a high level outside of the mechanics of it. And so that's that. The next one, if you go down.
I just want to say, I feel like if you just put a bunch of circles together and lines through them, it does look like...
Hey, fuck off. Fuck off. This one is his insignia from, he is in, if I remember correctly, a shotgun infantry unit outside of, in the Florida battalion of whatever, how the government is shaped now. And this is the symbol that is on their uniform. If you go further, you start to see some documents of the machine itself.
This is from Ghostbusters, right?
If you can prove it, go down. This is probably the one that when I think of this, that pops into my head the most. As far as I have seen, someone created this for this intent and purpose. All these pictures, no one's ever found. So the cool thing is the machine is put into a vehicle, And so the first one was like a 1964 or 68 Corvette. That was his first time machine. And the second one, they put it in a 4x4 truck. And I swear there was a picture of the truck and I could not find it. And everyone says it doesn't exist, but I swear he shared a picture of his truck at some point. But I love the idea of this fucking thing being in a Corvette. And it also compensating for where you are in the Earth to make sure you don't accidentally time machine into space, which is a big part of what the temporal displacement
Corvettes
thing
historically
does.
have like issues with just driving on land, driving through space and time. That's something
Yeah.
else entirely. I'm surprised he didn't try and put it in a DeLorean. Maybe he thought that was too on the nose.
Well, this is a real thing that happens.
That's
so you don't
true.
have to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
rude
you're right.
about it.
I should put some respect on his name.
All right, so a couple of predictions, things that he wanted to warn us about that he was passionate about. First, Y2K. There's this other thing around the Unix one that was more of a their problem. The things that he was really into was mad cow disease. Okay. And so in his future, I forget that disease's name. The acronym is CJD. Can't say it's something Jacob disease. That's where there's like I forget, it's a Pyron or something. Oh, what is that thing? Ashton. Anyways, you can't cure it. It goes into your brain and kills you. He was also into, he was really worried about obviously the Civil War. And so he was giving us information that could maybe keep us from doing that. And then like nuclear conflicts and other things. But that was his big stuff. He was coming here to give us a warning and to allow us to change our future such that it does not result in the future that he has.
That's did you ever listen to, this is going to be kind of, well, it's not that niche, but did you ever listen to the audio podcast K63?
Mm-mm.
So it's something I worked on when I was at Spotify, like just the analytics for it. But it is about a time traveler that comes back to tell us about a pandemic called started by something called Pegasus. Notably, this was made pre-COVID-19, and they come back to find the one person who spreads it on a plane that sends it globally.
Oh, patient zero.
And they have to try and convince them that they are indeed a time traveler, not crazy. This reminds me a lot of that. Now I'm wondering if K63 was inspired by this story.
There's a lot of things that are inspired by this. Even our friend Sanish posted today on Discord that an anime that he likes a lot references this or uses it as a plot point. So it's definitely like permeated certain things. So going to your question around like how much some of this was real, or I guess one of the reasons why this has lived so long is because there's some unique stuff to it. So you have the imagery. You could pay someone to do that. I'm guessing they did to get such high quality, unique things, especially early on. One of the most bonkers things was that the claimed reason I said earlier that he was coming back for that 5100 IBM computer was for a unknown capability that allowed it to emulate older mainframes. That's a real thing. And only a couple of IBM like deep developers or scientists actually knew it because they didn't want to cannibalize mainframe sales. And so if we are pivoting to if this is an ARG or like a social experiment thing, we're now limiting pretty severely the people that could actually do this, and then I'll kind of throw it out of how this ends. There's way more to it, but we're a little long. There is some connection. At some point, I think there was a John Titor for-profit foundation created in Indiana, and eventually it was attached to an entertainment lawyer in LA who had a brother who was a super nerd and was a early developer on the 5100. And so the thinking is that there's this...
5100 is a computer?
Yeah, the IBM 5100. Yeah. So that between these two guys, they essentially wanted to create this social experiment, and maybe for profit, maybe for not. And they threw it out in a way that was incredibly interesting and fairly unique for back in the day. And it has like lived on through now.
That is really cool because it's interesting. In a lot of ways, it's so much easier to go viral today than it was back then, and like to spread information. So to get something like this circulating on the internet back then, it had to be really fucking good.
Yeah.
So tell me what's your ranking for it?
All right. So we're pivoting. I had originally, the rubric was time travel because I could do time travel every episode. But if we're thinking about wacky history,
be better than wild history too. That's what I'm going to name it. Wacky history.
So my original rubric was feasibility, inventiveness, and is this future fun? And so from a feasibility standpoint, I put this at an 8. because there's a lot of real science or science words that they throw out. And they started with a specific place that had people who were like really nerdy about this stuff and who got really engaged with it. So I think it's really cool that they used real science, and they made claims in regards to our understanding of physics at the time and where it was going that felt very real, or could be. So from feasibility, I give it an 8. I think that's fun as hell. Inventiveness, mostly because they threw this cool GE box in a Corvette and you had to like shift it and stuff. I think that's inventive. So I give that 8 as well. Future fun. Is the future that this person is coming back and sharing with us fun? No, it is not. There's mad cow disease everywhere. We're broke up into 5 places. We have to live in Florida and shoot shotguns.
Infantries.
Yeah, not cool. So I give that a 2. So my final score for Wacky History, I'm going to start at 8 where we are with the other one, and we can take it from there.
Yeah, so I have a couple of counterpoints. And
Okay.
I promise this is not to win the podcast. Like let's take winning numbers off the table, because I think that's bad faith. One, you say it's really cool that they put us in a Corvette and could do all those things. They didn't do that. Like like as much as this is entertaining, it's bullshit. Like it almost fits into the grifts category, in my opinion. It's very close.
Yes, it could be a grift.
It could be a grift, but I like. It is cool. I also don't think that part is particularly original, because Back to the Future came out 10 years before this.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And some of the props in the pictures look a lot like Back to the Future. But as far as inventiveness and like the pieces tying it to IBM and the computer that's real and all that I really like. So I do want to talk you down. I do want to say it's closer to a 7 for me.
Okay. Keep going.
That's
Is that a 7 overall?
Yeah, I think I would give it a 7, which if we averaged would put you at a 7.5.
All right, how about this? I have a compromise for you. I'm fine with a 7, and I think a 7 relative to the 8 for your barrels, because the barrel things for sure happened. We had dead body parts popping out of barrels and pictures and things.
Yeah,
we have a picture of a guy on a jet ski pumping his arm right before he dies.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to take an 8 to my 7, because it's unclear, at least if the category is wacky history and not grift, on what happened. If this is a grift, I'm going higher. But wacky history, I will take a 7 if you'll take an 8.
Yeah, that seems fair to me. So it's John. How do I spell his last name? Tider?
Titor.
Titor. John Titor gets a 7. For notes, I'm going to put time travel. What was it? And then for Niagara Falls barrels, I'm going to put, we got dead bits to say this happened.
I feel like he tried to attach that anvil permanently and it broke. And then he was like, oh no. There's no piece of that makes any fucking, like, why put an anvil in the barrel? Why add more? You have enough weight. He was a big guy. The barrel's heavy. Yeah, if the idea is, like, I understand the idea of keeping it, because he even had it in a coffin shape. Man, I'm very curious. Like, this barrel thing is, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole. But, like, he almost shaped it that it makes sense that he wanted it to pull down in, like, that pill shape and then stay. And weighting the bottom, to me, makes sense to do that.
Yeah, because I guess it's, like, at that point, it's like a diver. But, like, also, if you're going to do that, maybe make the bottom more, like, bullet-shaped so that it goes into the water and breaks surface tension better. I don't know. There was a lot of questions with that attempt, but we can talk about that all day. We're at 44 minutes. Let's move on. My next item, I will say, I think will be far quicker. It's in the same PowerPoint presentation, because of I like PowerPoints. My second item is the website ABC Tales. I've got a picture of it on the left. This is a writing forum, and then I've got a picture of my stats on this website on the right. I have 308 stories published in 9 collections on the site. My stories have been read 145,699 times, and 173 of my 308 stories have won awards on this site.
No wonder you're so stressed about views on our podcast.
I know, man. Well, we already talked about the fame bug and the constantly chasing things that are never going to satisfy me, but like
145 fucking thousand times?
Yeah, it's
no one's done anything about my stuff.
Let me tell you,
100,000 times.
You would think that I would sell more fucking books with that many reads, but I do not. But online, I do pretty well. I just don't do well when people have to pay money for it. Go figure. I mean, I do okay. But anyways, so I've broken this down into pros and cons. So the pros, this is the website that gave me the confidence to share my writing with others. Like, I found this website when I was going onto the internet, to try and find a place to post my first short story, which is called The Spoon, and it's terrible. It's edgy for no fucking reason, because every time a male writer shares their first story, it's got to be edgy. There has to be some sort of unexpected death to prove that you're a fucking cool writer guy.
All right, so now that we're here and we're talking about The Spoon, tell us what The Spoon is and why it is edgy dumb.
So I honestly don't remember. So I watched the Grand Budapest Hotel, and I know that that's what inspired it. And I think it was a waiter going ballistic and stabbing somebody with a spoon. I'm pretty sure that was the entirety of the story. And
it's still there. I could go read that.
Actually, it legitimately might be, and it's probably pretty short. It's the first thing I ever posted on that website. Pro number 2, I have more reads here than I have anywhere else. Like it said, 140,000 reads. That's a lot. And as a writer, getting your work read, that's all that matters. 3, and this is why there's shameless self-promotion at the bottom of this slide, is I prototyped every single one of my novels on this site, and the feedback that I got while I was prototyping there gave me the initiative to keep going. So the latest novel I have coming out this year, I prototyped on this website, and it's getting published by a legit publisher. Like, I submitted it, I did it. This is my first book with somebody who's published more than one book. It is 100% free, with no catch. There's no like even like tip the editors of the site. Like there's no monetization on this site whatsoever. And 5, it's a great community. They're really friendly. There's a lot of people who are published authors on the website that moderate it. People do it out of the goodness of their hearts. And there's some really good writing on there. Some really bad writing on there too, but there's some really good writing.
I'm reading The Spoon right now. Yeah.
Not looked at that story in probably 15 years.
I can recall my long days sitting at the office, the humming of pneumatic tubes, shooting in all directions around me, trying desperately to find their place as I firmly sat in mine. Papers would whistle past my head at speeds beyond my wildest imagination, but for the most part, I was content to sit at my desk and read stacks of papers. In these papers were numbers of great importance. The accounts of the entire Western Division of Polycorp resided between their carefully manicured carbon copy pages. Ooh, it's coming off the tongue.
I'll be honest, that doesn't sound as bad as I thought it would. Did I write Severance before Severance happened? That's what I want to know, because the numbers do sound mysterious and important.
Hey, can I give you another paragraph?
Yeah.
Every day was the same routine. I would walk in at approximately 8:07 a.m., 23 minutes before my shift started, but a full 7 minutes later than being a half hour early. What?
That doesn't make any fucking sense at all.
Shut up. It was the perfect time. So as not to appear too eager, but just eager enough. I would walk over to the gray filing cabinet to my right and pull a large red lever. From above, a tube would open and a drop of fresh stack of papers into the first row. Okay, I'm going to skip that one. That one was clunky. The noise was horrendous, but I didn't mind it so much. The first paragraph was pretty good.
Yeah. The rest of it, like, the first paragraph of anything, that's the easiest bit. Anyways.
Can I give you my affirmation right now? Even though I just gave you a hard time about that, I think it's fucking cool that you do this. I think it's cool that you get up in the mornings and do this. I think it's cool that you give it the reps and you've tried on something that is incredibly hard. It's also something that I struggle immensely with, is the idea of putting anything that is in my head down on paper is a terrifying thing for me, and I'm not quite sure why. And so this is one of the most inspirational things that you do, and I think is neat as hell, regardless of anything you get from it on the fame side, because I don't think that actually is what you want. I think it's incredible that you do this, and I think you're an inspiration for it.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. I also appreciate you leaving my books on airplanes. Like that.
I don't want to. I'm just very high.
But it's also good marketing.
Read it.
It's good marketing. They've made it across the world.
I'm gonna do the one thing that takes all stress in my life away. And when all stress in my life away, the first thing I want to do is read my friend's book. Like, that's the thing. So that feels very heartwarming. Yeah. I'm not leaving it on the plane on purpose.
Yeah.
I've left my glasses on the plane. I've left my bag on the plane. I've left a lot of things on planes.
Yeah, me too. It's hard to remember things on planes. ADHD is tough, man.
Especially if you take Xanax
when
and
you
3
add
beers.
drugs to the mix, yeah. All right, so let's get to the cons. There's not as many. There's 2. Mediocre UI that can be a little hard to get used to. That's just true. And also, one time it thought I was a bot and it deleted all my posts, and I had to ask the moderators to help me get them back. But it's fine. 2, it can be a little over praisey and lead people to think that they're hot shit, like me when I got my first. So I said that a lot of my stories have gotten awards on the website. Not all of them deserved awards. Like it's at the point now where when I post things, like they get pick of the day or like story of the week pretty often, and so it makes me think I'm hot shit. But I know that some of this is not my best, and it made me think that my first novel was perfect and deserved to be in paper, which is not true. The first novel never deserves to be on paper. So the echo chamber piece of it, not good. As a writer, you need somebody who's gonna cut you to pieces and tell you that you're dog shit so that you can get better.
Well, or at least critical feedback.
Yeah, you need actual critical feedback. The last aside, the other thing, when I went to another community online with, I posted stuff on ABC Tales, got really nice feedback, and then I was like, I'm gonna go to this place called Critique Circle, and I posted it, and an editor of a magazine gave me feedback and was like, hey, this is really bad. I can make it good, and you can make it good, but it's really bad right now. It has good bones. These are all the things that are wrong with it. I did what he said, and that is the first story I ever published. So, like, bad feedback, very important. I never get it on ABC Tales, so that's my one knock. So my ranking...
That's really cool that person did that.
Yeah, really cool. Like, it was just... And that's another kind stranger on the internet, which is wild. So my ranking, this place helped me write books, so 10 out of 10. Writing books is one of my favorite things that I do. Lack of critical feedback, 5 out of 10. On the one hand, it builds confidence. On the other hand, it builds too much confidence. Confidence building is my other one, which is 9 out of 10. The 1 out of 10 is because, too much. Free, 10 out of 10. Final ranking, 8.5 out of 10.
First question. How is this different than Club Penguin?
It is interesting. Club Penguin, it's hard to get all that text in the chat, And like, more often than not, somebody would be like, stop telling me stories. I'm a horny older man looking for children. And I don't like that about Club Penguin.
Quick cue.
Yep.
Did you ever do Club Penguin?
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So I did Club Penguin, but then there was something about payment that stopped me. And so honestly, most of our early forum days were spent in StarCraft chat rooms where we would just get into StarCraft matches with people and chat rather than actually playing StarCraft. Because we weren't allowed to have instant messenger, but we were allowed to play StarCraft.
Wait, was this at school or at your house?
At my house.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think I was allowed to get AIM when I turned like 14 or something that.
That's pretty old. I didn't even have internet that I could use AIM on until I was like 14 or 15.
Actually, I think it might have been early. I might have been in middle school, but I wasn't allowed AIM for a while, so we used StarCraft chat rooms.
What a good
StarCraft chat rooms aren't a thing. We just used StarCraft multiplayer games where we did not play and we just chatted with people.
That sounds really sad.
It was. We had a lot of fun, man.
All right,
pass a disc back and forth because we didn't want to buy multiple copies.
So you already the questions I had. You already answered. So no, I don't have any questions. Okay. I think this is a cool space. Man, I too. Now that I have it, I am going through your backlog. The first story you had. It was 9 years ago. It was not Spoon.
It was not the Spoon? Was it really? And it was only 9 years ago?
Yeah.
It has to be older than 9 years ago. Oh, you know what? That's because everything got reposted when it was deleted.
You're right. Everything says 9 years, 3 months.
Yeah.
I'll ignore that.
What was the first story on there, though?
It doesn't make sense now that I think about it, so I'm not going to say it. So The Spoon is where I'm going to start. I'm super psyched about reading it.
Oh, God.
Yeah. No, I'm going through the hell out of this. This is going to be rad.
Yeah, and it's funny because you have my like actual novels that I've spent work and edited, but The Spoon is.
And I've read them, so now I can read all that other stuff.
Yep, that's fair.
All right, so okay, what is the give it a top level rubric for me?
Top level rubric. This is gonna be. I'm trying to see if it fits into any of our other categories. It's almost life experiences, but not quite. Maybe.
Do we have like a tool?
Yeah,
like
tool
or...
feels right. Yeah, so this is a tool, a writing tool. So it's a tool.
Okay, cool. And you gave it a what?
8.5.
What would you, if you had to lightning round the critical circle jerk? If I think that's what it was called, what would you lightning round that?
6. It had a lot more constraints. Like they make it a lot harder for you to post your work. And that's honestly one of the main problems with writing is there are so many spaces that if you go and try and post it, they will not let you because they're like, no, self-promotion, fuck off. Like, you got to do
Oh.
8,000 reps before you post anything. And ABC Tales is like, yeah, come post your shit. We'll look at it.
Okay. I'm gonna do something that I think is new for this podcast. Writing, like I said earlier, writing to me is incredibly intimidating. I think it's amazing that you've stuck with it, especially with your brain, because I think our brains are similar and there's aspects of what you do that you've been able to work through and find value in. And so I don't have a take on this score. Tools is new. And then, I think this is amazing that this tool helped you out, and I'm good with that score.
Awesome. ABC Tales gets an 8.5. Thank you for that. Notes, I'm going to put free, confidence, writing, real estate.
Real? What?
You know, it's free real estate.
All right.
What's your
Are you
last
ready?
item? Hit me with it.
My last item. This is one that is top of mind because we were supposed to record this really cool podcast yesterday, but I felt like donkey butthole. And I'll tell you why, and my learnings from that. So the second thing I'm bringing from the internet today is an experience from the past in my life, and it is ordering and consuming Magic Spoon cereal from the internet a number of years ago. But after a little bit of research, that actually turns into something called, I don't know how you pronounce this, but I'm going to say FODMAPs, fermentation in your colon.
I know a lot about FODMAPs.
Oh, cool. Okay, cool. So you can actually help me on this one, maybe. So my first experience with something like this came with Magic Spoon, and I'm sure it happened with other things. There are times where what I'm talking about is tummy issues based on things you've eaten. And a lot of the newer foods, especially things where they get a lot of protein out of it and little carbohydrates, they do a lot of fuckery with it to get there. And Magic Spoon is one of those things where the fuckery has happened. That is the magic. The magic is fuckery, and the spell is chicory root. And chicory root fucking sucks. And so let me get into this. So what I'm talking about are things that your body cannot digest. And that is how products like this, whether it be Magic Spoon or the thing that I had 2 days ago, which was Catalina Crunch cereal, the cinnamon toast style version of it, they have things in it that your body cannot consume. When your body cannot consume it, it passes through you. That is what I generally think fiber is. But this is a special class of things that's called FODMAPs or FODMAPs. The important part is everything before the O, and so that's the F. Things are fermentating in you. Your body is not a barrel. It's not a yogurt vessel. There should not be active fermentation in your body at this level, and that is something that I've learned, and I've forgotten, and I've learned again as of late, and I want to bring that to you. And so what I'm rating here is the effects of eating these foods. And I'm putting it into the category, and not because this is a way for me to turn it into a 10 instead of a 1, but the category I've created is self-flagellation, causing harm to oneself on purpose, maybe because you get off on it.
Look, Niagara Falls could fall into that category.
100%. That guy who put the anvil in it, he had a great time until
he didn't.
He didn't. Yeah. And so what I've given this, and then I'll take some cues, is the magnitude of suffering. Very high. Tummy things for me are the top of the list. I think, Ashton, I've told you this in the past. There's something that I have in my head when things get hard. It's a tool that I use, and I think about this hard thing that I'm going through, and if I had 3 wishes, would I use a wish to get rid of it? And this is one of those times where last night, at 4 a.m., when my tummy hurt, if I had 3 wishes, I would burn one on this to make it go away. And so if that tells you...
So can you describe, like, what happened? So you ate this Catalina Crunch cereal when?
There was a doubling effect. We don't eat a lot of lentils, and I didn't realize this at the time. Sarah made a new dish, my partner, and it was a lentil dish. And it is also high on the FODMAP score. And so I had a lot of what I would say is flavor blasted lentils that were overcooked. And I had for dessert and for pre-dessert this cereal, of which I had probably 3 times the amount of the serving size, which for cereal we know is very small. But for intents and purposes of fiber and or FODMAPs, it is incredibly high. Like like you can have twice the amount of vitamin C that they recommend. If you have twice the amount of fiber that they recommend and you're not used to it, you're going to have a bad time. And so that's what happened.
Wow, that's rough.
Do you know what actually happens? I'll tell you real quick, and then I'll give you the scores.
Yeah, tell me what happens. Well,
Okay,
so I'm assuming constipation is when you have too much fiber.
I'll tell you chemically what happens. So fiber, the FODMAPs and fiber are a Venn diagram, and there's a lot of overlap, but they're also very different. You can have high fiber foods that are low FODMAP, and you can have low fiber foods that are high FODMAP. I don't know if that was the same thing, but you get the idea. So very specifically, these things are short chain carbohydrates that your body cannot digest. So they get in your tummy, right? And then they go through your large intestines, small intestines. So what happens is these short chain carbohydrates are not digestible. So when they get to your large intestines, small intestines, and then finally your colon, they are energy that is fermented. And so your intestines start to ferment these things. So what happens with fermentation? You get air. The other thing that happens is because they can't be digested, they draw a lot of water. And so all of a sudden, your intestines, your stomach, everything starts to swell because you've brought water in. And especially if you have bad tummy generally or IBS, your brain is like, holy fuck, you have all these sensitive nerves. And so not only are you swollen, your brain's like, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. It feels like cramps, it feels like pain. And so all this water gets drawn in, and eventually, at the end, it gets in your colon and you get the core fermentation process, which creates all this air. And so you're essentially left with a giant blocking air, swollen tummy, brain saying everything sucks. And then you sit on the toilet for an hour just kind of moaning and nothing happens.
Wow.
At least that's my experience.
That sounds truly awful and not worth the, because Magic Spoon tastes okay, and those cereals, they taste okay, but they don't taste like the real thing.
No.
They're a worse version of the real thing.
So, for those of you who don't know, Magic Spoon was one of the first companies, at least direct-to-consumer companies, that was like, hey, we were going to make Fruit Loops, but we're going to make it in a way that it's not healthy, but it's from a macronutrient, it kind of reverses it. So it's high protein, low carbohydrate, low sugar. But the way that they're able to do that is they add a lot of shit that your body can't process. And so there's a couple ways that you do that: sugar, alcohols, chicory root. But you end up with all these things that your body can't ingest. But if it's on the FODMAP side, you can ferment it, which isn't necessarily all fiber. And so you essentially turn your tummy and your intestines into a brewery where all that air and that gas and that off-gassing has to go somewhere, and it's an incredibly unpleasant experience. But the boxes have a cute wizard on them, and they cost $20. And so if you do not get in that problem and you want to spend that money, go for it.
I mean, they were one of the OG podcast sponsoring companies too. I learned about them from Pod Save America. They were advertised a bunch, and eventually I tried it.
Yeah.
And
what happened?
Dude, it hurt. It was not good. And it tasted okay.
It tastes fine.
But then I was in just extreme pain afterward.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That was my exact experience. I took the box, I gave it to someone else.
Okay. Yeah. So this is high misery of this item. A few questions for you.
Yeah.
And I'll sort of rapid fire this. How does this compare to a TB infection? In terms of, and TB, tuberculosis, in terms of creative clarity gained through the suffering? Did you write poetry while you were on the toilet?
Oh boy. So I would say TB, also known as consumption, a deeply romantic and creative disease. It's very different because what happens with TB and what's unique about it is that it takes a long time to get really bad. The disease kind of concentrates itself and over time. And so that's one of the reasons why it's a disease that is incredibly impactful, but maybe not as well remedied, because it happens over such a long period of time. This is not that case. And so I would say it happens immediately, and the learnings are very, very quick.
Okay. All right. So, but there's no creative clarity from it.
The biggest creative clarity is the brain for me is very plastic. And the thing that always boggles me is how bad tummy can be in the past and how easily you forget and then do something that make tummy bad again the same way. And then you hate yourself and you create this hate sandwich of clarity. And that's where I'm at today.
Good to know. My last question. So you're talking about Magic Spoon, and Magic's kind of a fun concept that I think we throw the term around pretty loosely. And when I think of magic, I think of magic missiles, fire bolts, ice magic. And then I think about ice magic, that makes me kind of just get cold, and cold naturally leads me to wonder what would happen if I was caught in a snowstorm and all I had was this off-brand cereal.
Incredibly interesting question.
It's just something I'd never really thought about before.
I'm processing. You've had a little bit of thought. So while I come up with the right answer based on the information that I gave you, do you have an idea of how this can help you? And then I'll tell you the right one.
Well, So it's interesting. The fermentation process, like while it does make me feel bloated, I think it also makes me feel full. And in a way that is helpful. Or I can focus on the pain instead of freezing to death. And maybe the fermentation process heats my body up and keeps me alive longer. So I'm going to actually ask ChatGPT, does tummy fermentation heat me up enough to help me survive a snowstorm? In those words, I'm going to say sub-zero temperatures. Let's get this answer real quick. Tummy fermentation does generate some heat, but not nearly enough to keep you alive in sub-zero temperatures. Fermentation is mild and produces mild heat, just a few calories worth of warmth.
This is like that one time someone told me when you break a bone that you like burn an extra 400 or 500 calories a day healing it, and I told my doctor that. And they told me I was a fucking idiot. And they're like, no, you cannot eat more because a bone's healing.
That's great, because there would be a TikTok trend about breaking your bones to,
to lose weight.
Kids, listen to us. If you want to get skinny and fit, break your bones, because every time you break a bone, it burns 400 calories. Connor said so.
All right, here's my answer, and I apologize because it's going to fit into the first 2 or 3 versions of this question. And you're going to die. I'm not trying to speed it up this time. What I'm trying to do is distract you from the ultimate end of your existence. And so if you are fighting minute to minute, day to day, whatever it may be, this might give you a thing to concentrate on other than the other aspects of starvation, or, you know, if there's wild wolves or other things happening. So if you want to die while having different types of pain, this is the way to go.
Interesting. Okay. So if I don't want to focus on the freezing and I'd rather just focus on the pain, I could just like magic spoon myself to death.
This would help. Yeah. Not to death. It just adds another layer of suffering.
Yeah. What's your rating?
Because this is self-flagellation, I gave this, not to go through all of them again, the primary knockdown for this was how quickly I forget this is painful. So I gave this a score of 8.
But 8 is good.
No, but yeah, for self-flagellation.
Oh, like, I see. So it's really good at self-flagellation.
Yeah. Fuck you. I know your game now.
Wow,
I just
that's
have to create
really
new categories.
Interesting. This is, I don't know how I feel about this reverse rating. This is making me uncomfortable because it sets a new precedent that we haven't done on this show.
It's not a reverse rating. It is just the category that I choose and the way that we get to the highest number possible.
What's wrong? Did I get you? You dumb idiot.
It breaks the whole concept of the scale is what's wrong.
It doesn't. The scale's bullshit. That's the whole podcast. Deal with it.
Okay. All right. Okay. So it's an 8 out of 10 for self-flagellation.
And I will say, because we know that we set a precedent last time, that scores from the past can change as we get more self-flagellation, because I know you flagellate yourself constantly. I can knock this guy down to a 2 because you do some sick, dark things to yourself, man. And so as you come with those disgusting, pariah-like activities, maybe this is a 1. But right now it's the first one, and I feel like that's fair because I felt like shit for 8 hours.
We're going to have to talk about the Pocky One-Chip Challenge at some point on here, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not doing it again, but I'll talk about my experience.
On the pod, we'll do it. Both of us.
Okay, if we're rating it on self-flagellation, you're right. Like, it is, an 8 is pretty solid. So I will agree to an 8. God, this fucks up our rating scale. So off-brand, CT Crunch, protein, and an 8.
Chicory root and parans.
In parens. Sorry, let me share the
FODMAP
spreadsheet so everybody can see
brackets.
this here. Okay, so chicory. How do I spell chicory? Chicory?
Yeah, you got it.
Slash.
Smart boy.
FODMAP. Okay, ooh, with a slash. Good. Notes. Bad tummy pain, fast forget, probably again. And then...
No, probably not again, because I did a lot of research today and I hadn't realized exactly what was happening. And so I'm actually going to be following a low FODMAP diet from now on. Oh, can I give you a hot tip?
Oh, by the way,
maybe you knew this.
That's really hard. Low FODMAP diet is something that my partner did, and it is miserable because it is
really
there's no onions and no garlic.
I'll give you a tip that's kind of in line of those two things. So beans, legumes are generally pretty high FODMAP.
Yeah.
If you get canned versions of them, because they sit in that brining or stewing liquid for so long, it sucks it out. And then if you rinse them, you're getting rid of approximately 70 to 80% of them. But if you don't rinse that weird fucking liquid, you get it all is in there. And so same thing with like lentils and other things that are high FODMAP. If you cook it like pasta and then drain the liquid, you're getting rid of a good portion of them. But if you're doing it more like a risotto and it sucks that liquid back in, or you keep that liquid, you're getting all of it. And so there's mechanisms like, I now know there's a reason why I started draining beans. It wasn't for this reason, but I will never have beans in a can again in that sticky, gross white juice.
Fun fact, the United States is one of the few countries that has a pH level that all canned foods have to hit that's arbitrary because...
Are you serious?
Yes, because lobbyists way back when lobbied it up, and it's why we have a higher degree of, I think it's esophageal cancer in the United States, because all of our canned goods have a much higher amount of acid than any other country in the world, which is another good reason to rinse your canned foods.
Lightning round, RFK Jr. 8.
No, RFK Jr. can't have an 8.
That's the pod, guys. Love you, Ashton. Unless you have an affirmation for me.
Just real quick. So today, if we, my God, we have ties. I'm sorry, Connor.
We're gonna resolve. No, we're gonna resolve offline.
We can't do this every time. We have to resolve right now. Lightning round.
Fast. Okay.
First schoolyard ass beating is an 8. Then we have Niagara Falls barrel history at an 8. I'm gonna say Niagara Falls barrel history not as good as actually better than first schoolyard ass beating. If I'm being honest.
I disagree.
Okay, so
life lessons primarily the life lessons of getting your ass beat, I think, are incredibly valuable in a way that learning about, while it was interesting and funny, not always funny, but a little bit. That's my take. I feel like the life lessons is an important part. Unless you have a life lesson that you learn from the barrels that is higher than getting your ass beat.
No, you're right. Okay, we bump that down. It goes to a 7.5, which ties it with Big Trouble in Little China. I'd say it's better than that, which then ties it with the TB book. And I would say that it's not as good as the TB book, which would make it a 7.55.
Okay. What? Well, okay.
Because it's in between those two.
How is it not like a 7.6? Like, how did we get to 2
because
decimals?
We have the TV is a 7.6.
So shouldn't it be like a 7.5? We have a 7.5, so 7.4. Oh, God damn it. I see. Yeah. Never mind. Keep going.
You see where we've gotten ourselves into a little bit of a pickle here.
I hate you. You created this pickle.
I know. All right. Off-band CT Crunch versus first schoolyard ass beating. Because this is, I'd say it's lower again, which puts it at 7.5. Which then it's tied with Big Trouble, and I would say it's worse, so we should put it at a 7.4. Do you have it?
Okay.
Yeah?
Good.
We did it. That's the podcast.
Oh, that's it?
Oh, fuck. Okay, Frank the Potato is tied with John Titor.
That's a hard one, especially because, as we talked about earlier, no one really liked Frank the Potato, which makes me want to pump it up. So I'm more pumped about John Titor, or the Frank Potato, than I am John Titor.
Great,
because I know Frank's
puts
real.
It in the 7.5 category, or actually puts it at a 7.1, which ties it with Mundane Celebrity Dreams. I'm going to say John Titor is better, and we put it at 7.2.
Okay.
We're really filling out the sevens.
We're getting good at this.
Yeah, we're getting so good at this. That is the show. We have ranked everything for today. We'll be back in a week after I edit this hour and 20-minute long episode down to a tight hour.
Hold on. You're right.
Yep. No, this is the longest episode we've ever recorded.
Good night, sweet babies.
Good night. Good night, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.